Research and corporate strategy are vital tools in any growing business in Nigeria. That's why at the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, the regulators of the pension industry, they plan, they strategize, and they regulate to make sure that your contribution counts. Hello and welcome to Pension Matters, the pension awareness program where we teach you how to contribute very well into your retirement savings account that you've opened with our pension fund administrator. My name is Professor Strabi Ibrahim, and today we'll be dealing with issues that border around regulation, supervision, and strategy. For details of this and more, stay with us as the program will continue shortly.
Do you know there is a new pension scheme in Nigeria? It is mandatory, it is contributory, it is fully funded, based on individual retirement savings account. Under the supervision of the National Pensions Commission, the new pension scheme guarantees lifelong financial independence for every citizen of Nigeria in public or private employment. PENCOM says it's a new dawn. Call the National Pensions Commission now or log on to www.pencom.gov.ng for further details. PENCOM, your contribution counts.
If you're just joining us, the program is Pension Matters, and it's now time for us to join Adanze to tell us what is trailing in the pension industry. Adanze, take it away.
Thank you very much, Princess. Hello viewers, welcome to Pension Trail. This is where we'll give you the latest updates and happenings in the pension industry. As usual, I am Adanze Ukorocha. On our story today, PENCOM begins verification and enrollment exercise. The National Pension Commission has commenced the verification and enrollment exercise of employees of the federal government treasury-funded ministries, departments, and agencies that are due for retirement between January and December 2017. The ongoing exercise will take place in all the 6 geopolitical zones with 15 centers throughout the Federation. The National Pension Commission also stated the need for all participants to adhere strictly to the dates assigned to each service sector and to come with all the required documents for the verification exercise. And secondly, federal government accumulates over 140 billion naira. The federal government has accumulated over 140 billion naira pension liabilities. According to the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, from 2014 to date, there has been a decline in budgetary provision in funding the Retirement Benefit Bond Redemption Fund accounts and the remittance of monthly contribution, adding that the sum of 20.07 billion naira is required to pay all the outstanding accrued benefits for deceased and the mandatory retirees for the federal government. PENCOM also noted that 50.20 billion naira was needed for the 2016 FGN budgetary appropriation for the Retirement Benefit Bond Redemption Fund and accounts. And lastly, Imo State uncovers pension fraud. The Imo State government has said that it has uncovered 700 million pension fraud that has been on for many years in the pension board. This was disclosed recently by the Chief of Staff, Government House Owerri, Chief Uche Nwosu, who stated that the fraud was discovered following an audit panel it created, and those indicted by the findings has been removed, and including the boss of the board and an entire new staff deployed to the pension board. The Chief of Staff stated that the fund resulted from the accumulated pension is 1.3 billion naira, in contrast to the authentic pension of 600 million naira, which is an increase of above 10%. Well, viewers, this is the much we can take on pension trade today. Let's get back to Princess for more on pension matters.
Thank you very much, Adanze, for that wonderful update on pension, telling us what has been trailing in the pension industry this week. Viewers, the program is Pension Matters, and it's time for Up Close segment. In the Up Close segment today, I'll be discussing with Dr. Farouk Aminu. By the way, Dr. Farouk Aminu is the head of Research and Corporate Strategy Department at National Pension Commission. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Yeah, how are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Nice to have you again on the program.
You're most welcome.
National Pension Commission, you are saddled with the responsibility of regulating the pension industry in Nigeria, that is, overseeing the activities of the operators. Now, since 2004, the Pension Act was enacted and amended in 2014. So can you tell us the role of PENCOM so far?
Well, viewers, the role of National Pension Commission is very straightforward, that of regulating and supervising the pension industry, all pension matters rather in Nigeria. This include both the contributory pension scheme that is introduced in 2004 by the Pension Reform Act 2004, and the defined benefit scheme that was sort of scrapped by the Pension Reform Act 2004, but that is still running simultaneously with a contributory pension scheme because of those who are exempted from the contributory pension scheme and are receiving their pension on the defined benefit scheme, and for which the federal government has set up a new agency, the Pension Transition Arrangement Directorate, to oversee the activities of all the operators, all the administrators of pension under the defined benefit scheme.
That is true, Dr. Farouk. I've been meaning to ask this question. How connected is this PTAD and the National Pension Commission? Because people have been asking this question.
National Pension Commission will supervise the PTAD.
Oh, really?
Yes, although it's an agency under the Federal Ministry of Finance, but we supervise them.
Okay.
And so we do all regulatory activities, on the PTAD. We examine them, we look at what they do, and if they do it right or they don't do it right, we, all that a regulator is supposed to do, we also do on PTAD.
Okay.
Only that we are not regulating them, but we are supervising them, because there are two different issues. PTAD is an agency of government set off by a law of the Parliament, the Pension Reform Act 2004 and later the Pension Reform Act 2014. While the operators that we regulate, we license them.
Okay, that's the difference.
So that's the difference.
I get it.
Yeah. So that's what we do, regulating and supervising all pension matters in Nigeria. Okay. In doing that, we are able to do so much. Number one, we license the pension operators. We have licensed about 26 of them. There are 21 of them now. 6 have either been taken over or they merged.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but we licensed another one after these mergers and acquisitions. The number of PFAs came down from 26 to 20, and then we licensed one. It went up to 21.
In licensing these pension fund administrators, that's the PFAs, I heard of closed pension fund administrators. Are they part of the people that must get their license from National Pension Commission?
It's actually a closed pension fund administrator. It's a pension fund administrator.
Oh, really?
Only that there are two types of pension fund administrators. Okay. One is closed and one is open. The one that is open is where me, you, everybody will go and open his or her retirement savings account and then contribute into the retirement savings account. The closed one, when the pension reform came in 2004, there were pension schemes that were existing, run by institutions, either of government or private sector.
Okay.
The law allows those schemes, if they would like to continue, the sponsors can go and, okay, let's do it this way. The sponsors can write to us and ask for permission to continue running their schemes.
Okay.
If they want to continue running the schemes and running those schemes themselves, it's not only for the scheme to continue, but the company or the federal government agency that has that particular pension scheme running would like to run it as they used to do. What the law says is that they should go and register a company with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and then that company should apply for a license to operate as a closed pension fund administrator.
Oh, great. I understand.
Okay, so we have 7 of them at the moment. We have already been having 7, since 2004 when we began issuing licenses to closed PFAs.
So far, so good. Can you evaluate the activities of this National Pension Commission in these oversight functions?
We have been able to.
How successful have you been?
Just trying to say, okay, we have been able to to do two things that are very important: to have institutional framework and legal framework. And these two are guiding what we do and how we do it. The institutional framework was what I was just explaining, setting up the PFAs, the CPFAs, and the custodians. And then having relationships with other regulatory agencies that are, stakeholders on administering the scheme, like Central Bank. They have to manage our contribution accounts, they have to manage the retirement bond redemption fund account. So establish those relationships with these, stakeholders. But also, we have been able to issue out regulations and guidelines and frameworks and codes and, so many really excellent regulations.
Some do's and don'ts.
Yes, that explain how the provisions of the Act should be interpreted and how they should be applied and how they should be operated by the operators. So we have been able to successfully do this. And we have today about 7 million people registered on the contributory pension scheme.
Good, I was even coming to that.
Okay.
But,
And then,
Dr. Falk, I was coming to that. Number of registration done so far, but we'll take a short break now. When we come back, you tell us more on the number of people that have been registered under this contributory pension scheme. Viewers, the program is Pension Matters, and I've been discussing with Dr. Farouk Aminu, who happens to be a head of department at the National Pension Commission, PENCOM. We'll take a short break now. We'll come back. The program will continue shortly. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. The program is Pension Matters. Dr. Farouk, before the break, I was going to ask you the number of Nigerians, that's Nigerian workers, that have registered under this contributory pension scheme.
currently we have 7 million Nigerians registered under the contributory pension scheme.
7 million?
7 million between 2006 when registration started and 2016 May.
Don't you think it's low, considering the number of Nigerians that work?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's low, obviously, because what we have been able to do is just to cover like 50% of the formal sector.
Okay.
Now, federal government has taken decision to implement the contributory pension scheme for its workers. So we have almost exhausted all the federal government employees.
Okay.
State government, they have taken the decision to implement the contributory pension scheme, but we have just about 10 states that are currently implementing the contributory pension scheme. So you can see that we have outstanding employees from about 26 states. Okay, so that's how the number is low even on the public sector.
And this is the public sector?
Yeah, on the private sector, we have virtually most of the big companies, quoted companies that are quoted on the stock exchange, where they have all keyed into the scheme. But we have several more. We have over 200,000 companies that have registered, and are contributing under the contributory pension scheme.
So the 7 million you said is just for public sector?
No, public and private.
Okay, public and private.
Yeah, public we have about 3.3 million. The private about 3.7 million. So we have about 7 million. But we know the strength of registration is largely going to be with the informal sector.
That's true.
Because if you put all the formal sector together in this country, the number is just about 14-15 million. So even if we covered everybody in the formal sector, public and private, we just have about 15 million. Now out of 170 something million Nigerians, we are covering only 15 million because that's the formal sector. With a huge informal sector
Left behind.
that's where our focus is, and that's where the Commission is coming up with the idea of macro pension scheme, so as to extend coverage to the self-employed, to the small and medium-scale enterprises, and to persons working in the informal sector.
Dr. Falco must tell you, a lot of people, this informal sector, they are itching to start contribution under this contributory pension scheme. So, National Pension Commission, we should try as much as possible to make sure that you roll out this micro pension, because people are itching to become part of it.
I agree with you totally. But we have done a lot. We have already established a function, a full department that is handling issues of micropension. And we have done the legal framework. So what we are looking at other soft issues. How do we collaborate with the other regulators? Because, I mean, when you are going to do this, then you notice that it's not just PENCOM and the pension fund operators that are going to, go to that market and just do it. Now, if they are going to do it, how can they capture everybody that is working in the informal sector? Unless perhaps if we are going to do census of all Nigerians. So we're trying to see how we can do it in such a way that it's easy for people to participate. For example, can we leverage on like the mobile platforms, this mobile money and so on, to register people, to access them, to receive contributions, to give account statements and other account services, and then to also pay pensions. Can we do all that? Because when we have that, we feel that it's going to be easy for the Commission and the industry to get these people on board and then give them all the services that are required.
I agree with you that getting the informal sector, the artisans, into the contributory pension scheme is a Herculean task, which I give kudos to National Pension Commission for the initiative. So it must be done properly to make sure that the best benefit is desired from doing it. Now, that brings me to the question I want to ask you. What is the value of the pension assets so far?
As of the end of May, we had about, that's May this year, about 5.6 trillion. Trillion naira. And this was, as I mentioned, one of the major achievements of the pension reform. Because for the first time in the history of this country, we have been able to generate this money, and money generated by Nigerians, which shows that if Nigerians have that savings culture, we'll be talking of multiples of this amount. This amount was just contributed by 7 million people. Now consider that all the 170 million Nigerians are going to participate. You can imagine the size of the assets that are going to accumulate under the pension scheme. And then you can imagine the impact that will have on the Nigerian economy, because all of these assets are invested in Nigeria. Just a insignificant percentage, about 1.2%, that is outside the country, and this is for the closed PFAs. Because those companies that have the closed pension funds already had investments out of the country prior to the pension reform. We're saying keep whatever you have out of the country.
Oh, so offshore investment is only for the closed pension?
Well, for now, but law allows that even the open PFAs can do, subject to the approval of the President. The National Pension Commission, as the regulator, we still feel that we need these assets to work for the Nigerian economy before we start pushing them out. And also, we need to sort out a lot of soft issues. For example, all the pension assets are under the custody of the custodians here in Nigeria. If we take these monies out of the country, who's going to keep custody of these assets? So we have to agree on all these arrangements and so on. We don't want stories that monies are invested in United States or United Kingdom and then we cannot trust them.
That's true.
Now, and that will be the biggest disservice that we can do to the people who contributed this money.
Yes.
So we must ensure the safety. And that is key, and that's number one priority in our operations.
When this money are invested, do you have investment guidelines that safeguard the contribution of the contributors?
Yes, I mean, in the first place, the Act has stipulated the assets that the pension funds should be invested in. That's number one. But given the powers by the Act to interpret the provisions of the Act, National Pension Commission came with an investment regulation on how these pension assets should be invested. I think it's important for people to understand that when we mention that pension funds can be invested in infrastructure projects in Nigeria, National Pension Commission is always concerned about the safety of these pension contributions. And that's why we don't allow the assets, pension contributions, to be invested directly into infrastructure projects. For us to keep track of what the pension funds are doing in every infrastructure project, we said that those investments in infrastructure must be through a bond. Now, bonds are issued by either government or private sector, but this time around was we want government to issue specific infrastructure bonds that will come with specific government guarantees, so that if there is any problem, we can always fall back to those guarantees and get the pension contributions back. Yeah, and so that's, and then if we want to also evaluate the investment, we can always track the value of that bond or the value of the investment fund, so that we know at every given time, 24/7, that this is the value of this fund, and so this is the value of the pension investment in this fund, and this is the value of pension investment in this bond. And together we can put the two and say, well, this is a total pension fund investment in infrastructure development in Nigeria. It's key because, number one, we track the value, so the value is not lost. It's not that somebody is building, say, a road somewhere, and there is a quantity survey, and then the quantity came up to about, say, 1 billion naira, and then pension funds invested half of the money, so 500 million into that investment. Now, if it is not through a fund or a bond, you cannot come after 10 days or after 10 months and say, this is the value of this road today. But if it is a bond or it is a fund, then you know at every given time that this is the value of your investment. And because that bond is there, exists, and is backed by a government's guarantee, you know that you are not losing that investment. Now, this is the beginning, because infrastructure projects, funding of it through these structures, is just beginning in this country. So we have to play it safe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Farouk Aminu, for coming on the program Pension Matters. Viewers, you've heard it all from Dr. Farouk. He was telling us all National Pension Commission, PENCOM, what they're doing to make sure that your contribution counts. The program is Pension Matters, and up next will be pension education. Don't go away.
This is Pension Education. Today we'll be looking at opening a retirement savings account. A retirement savings account is an account that keeps record of pension contributions of an individual employee that is registered with a pension fund administrator. An employer cannot force or cajole an employee to register with a pension fund administrator. It is solely the decision of an employee to register with any pension fund administrator of their choice. The retirement savings account is made up of contributions made by the employer and employee, as stated in Sections 4, Subsection 1 of the Pension Reform Act 2014, that the contributions for any employee to which this Act applies shall be made in the following rates relating to his monthly emoluments. A minimum of 10% by the employer, and B, a minimum of 8% by the employee. Opening a retirement savings account is one of the basics for every person in the workforce, be it in the public or private sector. It has been made compulsory by law that any person duly employed must have a retirement savings account from the day he or she is employed. Section 11, subsection 1 of the Pension Reform Act 2014 states that every employee to whom this act applies shall maintain an account, in this act referred to as retirement savings account, in his name with any pension fund administrator of his choice. The fund contributed is managed on behalf of the account holder, and regularly a statement of account including total contributions and current balances are sent to the account holder. To open a retirement savings account, the employee fills and submits an account opening form from the pension fund administrator, which is then processed and sent to PENCOM for the issuance of a personal identification number called PIN. This is sent in a confirmation letter to the employee, which contains the PIN, password, and username to enable he or she access detail for remittance and contributions, as well as monthly withdrawal after retirement. Opening a retirement savings account is a one-time thing, as double or multiple registration by an employee is not accepted. Hence, an employee's first account is the only one recognized and accepted by law for pension contributions.
Viewers, hope you like the twist we brought on pension education today and the analysis as well. On that note, we come to the end of our program for today. That's our package of pension matters for this week. We do hope you join us next week, same time, same station, for another exciting episode of Pension Matters. Until then, I remain yours, Princess Rabi Ibrahim.